Hi, how are you? Merry Christmas. Hope everyone is doing well and that you had a good day yesterday. Anyone else feeling slightly exhausted? It happens to me every Christmas where I just go, 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 of course, the whole year. And then as soon as Christmas Day comes, I feel like once the kids have opened their gifts and everything like that, I feel like I could sleep for a week. So I don't know. I am feeling good this morning, but also just a little bit tired, a little bit exhausted. I don't even cook the Christmas dinner, so I can't imagine how my mom must feel because she's the one who does all the cooking and everything like that on Christmas Day. Good morning. How are you? Let me know in the comments how you're doing, how your day was. And I was really curious to know if anyone was noticing um, the presence of their loved ones in spirit yesterday. Like anyone have any experiences like that that they are aware of? Hi, Drea. Thank you. Yes, definitely. I've got work to do today, but it's not really um, not client related work, so it's just kind of a bit chill. So I'll have time to do that planning and stuff like that. Good. So yeah, let me know if you felt your loved ones in spirit yesterday or if you received any signs, anything like that. We had a few conversations yesterday at my parents about some of our loved ones in spirit, and that was really, really nice. Good to reminisce and good to talk about them. Especially my great aunt in spirit, who we spend every Christmas with. So it was lovely, to talk about her yesterday, of course. Vicky, I was just thinking about you. Your friend's video came up on Facebook, and it was the song "Stand by Me." That was also a message from you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yep. That's so cool. That's amazing. That song. Yeah, it's very meaningful, isn't it? That's very cool. Yeah, so we were talking about our loved ones. Um, and then we were sitting down to eat dinner. And I don't know, we were laughing about something. And I just happened to glance to the side and look up a little bit. And there was this like tiniest, it wasn't even like a white feather, it was like a sliver of like, I guess, what a white feather. And it was like floating up and like just in my line of vision. Like it's the weirdest thing because I was looking at it. I'm like, how's it floating up? You know what I mean? Like it just didn't make sense. You'd think it would be like floating down, but it was floating up. And it was just like a little moment I felt like from spirit, just saying, yes, of course we're here. And it was really beautiful. I know I'm the only one who saw it, only one that noticed it. I didn't even say anything to anyone. I just said thank you to spirit and enjoyed it. It was lovely. So that was good. Oh, good. Drea, what's well, you don't have to share obviously, but if you don't mind, was there something in particular that reminded you of your grandmother? It's always so uplifting for other people, to hear about the different ways that spirit can really come and spend time with us. It was so hectic. You think your spirits stay clear. I think they're there. Well, I know they're there, but I think our ability to perceive them sometimes, yeah, especially if it's busy and hectic, it's not always easy to recognize their presence. That's for sure. But it's wonderful when we do become aware of them. So that's good. Wonderful. Anything that's come up since last time I saw you guys that you would like to ask about, know about with regards to working with spirits, mediumship, anything like that? Let me know in the comments and I will definitely answer. Let's see here. Oh, I forgot to put on Instagram. Okay, well, next time for sure. So Drea says making a special dish that was one of her favorites. Also, someone mentioned a dish that she always made out of the blue. Yeah, isn't that interesting how sometimes it's those comments that are out of the blue that really catch you by surprise, but also it's such a wink from that loved one, you know? So that's lovely. That's great. Yeah, one of the most amazing things you can do to honor someone is to kind of continue on, carry on, you know, their traditions or what they loved, you know? Definitely. I was thinking about yesterday, all of my clients who have experienced losses over the last while, not only recently, but just those big losses, and just sending love and really just thinking about how Christmas can really highlight those losses at times. So yeah, really sending lots of love to anyone who was having a hard time yesterday. I did give my parents the present, the one I was telling you guys about, the book that I made with all of the photos of the grandkids and then the interviews that I did with them. So asking them like favorite memories with, you know, my mom and dad, different their answers that they had to certain things were hilarious. The ages, I mean, my son is the eldest and he's 19. And then the youngest is my niece, who's 8. So there's a wide range of ages there. And some of the answers were hilarious. I did it from like eldest to youngest. So my son's answers were really touching. Like my mom started reading it immediately. She was like crying. But then as we went further into the book, the other answers were quite hilarious and funny. So it was good. It ended sort of on like a lighter note. And we just had a good chuckle. But yeah, and then my dad was saying how, oh, it was such a great gift. And he said, but it's already made him cry like 10 times. So I felt bad in a way that it was so emotional for them, like because I know neither of them love like crying in front of people, but I think it was really good, and I know that they really like they appreciate it, and I think that's something that they'll keep and they'll definitely reminisce over the years. And then my partner was saying it's kind of like a time capsule too, because we'll be able to look back on, you know, what the kids said and like years to come, and the pictures of them, and be able to sort of see the changes. So yeah, that turned out really good. I'm really glad that they enjoyed it, that they love it. So how are you guys feeling? Otherwise, what's happening with you? Let me know in the comments. I feel like as soon as Christmas is done, then a lot of times we're just like ready to look in the new year. You know, like it's like, okay, Christmas is done. Let's get the decorations down and start thinking about the new year. But I feel like for me, I just need today. I need to just still be a little bit like hibernating and quiet and cozy for another day. And then tomorrow I'll get back into everything, back to the gym tomorrow, all of that. But I just need today a little rest. Okay. Still don't have it down as good as she did the dish. Yeah. Well, I think it takes practice. Definitely. Feeling the full moon, cold moon has some great vibes for future. Awesome. Yeah, that's very exciting, isn't it? It certainly does feel like a powerful one. I find like and that could also be part of my energy feeling like really zapped. Just the full moon that's tonight. But it does feel like a positive energy for sure. It's just, yeah, affects all of us a little differently, doesn't it? Okay, well, maybe I'm going to put this, I'll put Instagram on here just so that we can also hear from everybody there. But do let me know. A friend suggested David Kessler videos about grief. I joined his Tender Hearts group to connect with others. That's great. That's fabulous. I haven't taken any of the David Kessler trainings or anything like that, but I do have a student who has, and she thinks it's excellent, loved it. And also, I think just the fact of connecting with other people who are grieving can be a really, really amazing support. You know, that is a good thing to do for yourself. So I'm glad, Vicki. That's great. Christine, hi. Good morning. How are you? All right, so I'm going to put this to Instagram. So we'll hear from Instagram as well. And you guys can comment with your questions. Okay, perfect. All right, so we just started on Instagram as well. Hi. Let me know in comments if you have some questions that I can answer that might be of interest and might sort of apply to the greater group as a whole, general questions, and we will go from there. So once again, Merry Christmas. Would I be interested in doing any readings today? Interested, yes. Will I do some mediumship readings? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna pull some cards for sure. And then we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Just seeing a few people joining there. Hi, Candace. Hi, Carly's there. Hi, Charlize. All right. So if you're interested in having a card pulled for you, let me know. This will be just what you need energetically right now at this moment. You're welcome. Are you interested, Drea, in a card? Okay, Christine is. Great. Christine, higher consciousness. So for you, Christine, right now, it's important to tap into that part of yourself that does know better than your everyday average human self. So looking at situations that are occurring, looking at your energy and seeing it from the broader perspective and tapping into your higher self. And so that sometimes is just an intention that you set and then a pause that's required in order to kind of get into that. If it's a struggle to sort of feel into that, you can also take some time to just be quiet, just sit with spirit and say, okay, I'm stepping into my higher self, and then just see what comes from there, either written, like write what comes, or you can even just speak it as you receive it. So I hope that helps. What does Drea need now in this moment? Energetically, letting go. So this I feel like is what's interesting. Looks like that big full moon in there as well for you, Drea. So this full moon could be about letting go of anything that is sort of weighing you down. And I think that's a difficult thing sometimes because we oftentimes will get something out of the things that do weigh us down. It's not like it's black and white. It's not always simple. But whatever you can release, if it's not helpful to you, time to let it go. So I just see you sitting and writing a list, even if it's only a few things, but giving yourself a chance to do that. And then you could burn that list, you could bury it. But the important thing is to symbolically release it and let it go. Nancy. Hi, Nancy. I hope you had a great Christmas. And then Vicki is next. What does Nancy need right now, energetically? So the card is dreams coming true. And the energy that I get from this is like a very magical, very quiet, magical feeling. So it's nothing that's too dramatic. I don't think that you need to be like shouting anything from the rooftops. I just feel like this is like a very internal, very quiet time for you, and that you can kind of you can kind of stir up this mystical, magical energy, this inspiration within you. And that can be through spending quiet time. It can also be for you just getting outside and spending time in nature and communing with nature and the nature spirits. So I do think it's a good indication that like there's such a sense of optimism for this year to come for you. So I hope that helps you, Nancy. Drea says, perfect card, resonates 100%. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're so welcome. This one is for, now I'm going to do this one for Vicky, but it's so weird. Merry Christmas. You're welcome, Nancy. You're welcome, Christine. It's so weird that sometimes on my screen, I see Facebook user and I don't see the person's name. So somebody put would love one and then the emoji with like the red hearts as the eyes. So if you can let me know, just first name is fine. Then I'll do that one. Vicky, what you need. So this is new opportunity. And I feel like, yes, this is something that's coming to you, but I also feel like it's something that you take advantage of. You create the opportunity for yourself as well. So if you look at the card, I mean, she's taking flight. To me, that's a leap of faith, definitely. So I really feel for you that there's something that you could put out there into the world that is really taking all of your knowledge, all of your expertise, and creating almost like a body of work, like something that others can utilize. And so I think it's to do with your ability to teach, but it's a sharing of expertise, but it's from a very lived experience. So I do think it has to do with your tarot, but I think embracing all of it, like everything, because you're extremely psychic as well. You also have mediumistic qualities, and I just think that you could put it all together, and it's a very exciting kind of feeling. So that's the opportunity, Vicky, as you go forward, and it's a good place to like put your energy and put your focus. It's a productive place to do that. So I think that would be helpful for you. It's Emma. Oh, hi, Emma. How are you? Sorry, I don't know why it does that. Emma, are you watching in the Facebook group? Because I wonder if it's just the Facebook, the Spirit Room group. Emma. Hi, Ashley. How are you? We had a great Christmas. I hope you guys did too. Emma, the card is vacation. So I don't know if you got one of those planned. If it's not a physical trip, it could just be like a vacation for your soul, a vacation for your mind. So taking time for rest, taking time for almost like it's not leaving problems behind, but I do think just like for a short time, giving yourself permission that you don't have to be the fixer. You don't have to be the one to be doing everything and fixing everything. So I do think it's like a mental break. Not that way, in a good way. So yeah, I feel like that's going to be important for you, and some proper sleep, I think, as well, for you, Emma. That letting go card just popped out as well. So it could be, Emma, for you as a sort of like an added message there, that it's like really important at this time for you to be releasing and letting go. And I feel like you know exactly what it is, but it's just about like that final push to really release and let go. So some grief that you might not even have realized is there. And I know you've done a ton of work around grief, but just some little aspect. It's not about someone in spirit. It's more about grief over someone that's here in the physical world, if that helps. All right. I saw Kelly Bailey asking, rising above problems. So for you, Kelly, there's always going to be things that pop up. As long as you're human, there's always going to be things that show up in your life that you didn't intend or you didn't necessarily want. So it's about rising above. And obviously that's easier said than done. And obviously that's depending on the situation. Sometimes that's something that can be can be tackled, and other times it's going to take much more energy and much more I don't know, patience and a strong will to do it. So depending on what's happening in life, that can be more difficult. But I do think this is important for you to rise above it. So there's going to be people that want to trigger you, are going to trigger you, situations that are going to pop up. This is really a time to pause before you respond and give yourself a bit of breathing room. And I think rise above as much as you possibly can. Now, that doesn't mean accepting abuse or accepting toxic behavior or anything like that. But it's rising above, meaning like you're not going to allow someone else or anyone else to stop you from doing the things that you want to do and that you need to do for yourself. So I hope that is helpful for you. Barb Fitzsimmons. Hi, Tina. Yes, definitely. That's right, Kelly. Tina, how are you? Merry Christmas. This one is for Barb. 2 came up. Dreams coming true and problem resolved. So Barb, if you've been going through the thick of it, if you've been feeling as though things have been piling up, and you're just feeling a little bit done with it, I just want you to know that it feels to me like this year, and it's in the earlier part of this year, that there is some kind of lightening of the load. There's a sense of an opening that occurs for you. So I do really think that you're going to come to this place where you're like, all the hard work pays off. So that's going to be a really, really big relief. Until then, keeping really focused on controlling the things that you can control. And a lot of that has to do with just controlling your own energy and your own thoughts about any given situation. But it does feel really positive. All right, this one is for Vanessa. Just popped out. Awakening your true self. So it seems to me that there's going to be some resistance from people around you as you awaken to your true self. I think that you know yourself very well, but maybe there's been a gradual showing of that true self and true nature in the world around you. And so the reason for that, I think, is that you felt some resistance. And on an intuitive level, on a soul level, you probably are aware that the more you show your authentic self in all areas, in all situations, that there is a real possibility that you might lose some people. You might lose some friendships. You might lose some closeness even in some relationships with family, stuff like that. So your soul knows something, and that your human self is aware, but probably just slowly working towards it. I would just say that as you awaken, to that authentic true self, you'll be able to pretty easily and clearly see who's sort of in alignment with you and who isn't. And it's not to say you have to get rid of anyone or that you can't associate with people if they don't believe what you believe. Like, that's not it at all. But it's like a mutual respect that I think is necessary. You'll start to feel like that's a non-negotiable. It just has to be a mutual respect. We can believe different things, but we have to respect each other, so, or whatever your needs are. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, I'm scrolling back up because there's a few other people that had asked. Tina, you're welcome, Barb. Okay, Merry Christmas. I'd love one if it's possible. So if you're in the Facebook group, the Spirit Room Facebook group, for some reason it doesn't show your names. It just shows Facebook users. So if you commented that you wanted a card and you're from the Facebook group, can you just tell me your first name? All right. So I'm going to pull one for Tina. All right. And Sherry on Instagram. Tina, make music. So to me, this card is not literally about you going and learning to play a musical instrument or anything like that. But I think it's more about getting into that zone where when you're creating something and you're not overthinking it, you're just flowing with it. It's very similar to how when you're working with spirit that or working intuitively feels very similar to that, where you're just in the zone, in the power. So I think a creative activity while you listen to music. So I kind of see you maybe doing like a paint night project. It could be just at home, just with you, inviting your angels, inviting your guides, inviting spirit, listening to beautiful music and just allowing yourself to create something. I think is really therapeutic at this time for you. And also just, a creative project you can do in partnership with spirit. So I would give that a go. Marissa, this card is for you. One that popped out is problem resolved. And then financial flow is the one that I pulled for you. So it just feels to me like things have been like stop and go, or like you'll go forward a bit and then feel like you go a few steps back and then go forward a bit with what you're trying to do and then a few steps back. These cards indicate to me that like there is some kind of end to the delays, an end to the back and forth feeling for you as you go forward, especially like end of January feels like that's a real like uptick in energy. It feels work, like business related type thing. So there you go. Claudette, yes, how are you? Card for Claudette. Be honest with yourself. Got the dragonfly for you, which I think is significant as a sign from spirit. So being honest with yourself about what do you actually want to accomplish and what do you enjoy doing the most, because I think that there's lots of things that I know there's lots of things you can do and lots of things you're good at, but what are the things even within that thing that you love? What are the specific things that you love to do and that you feel really excited about helping someone else to do, because it is in service to other people, what we're talking about for you. So I think that there's just like it's okay to be honest with yourself if you don't love every aspect of something, but like what are the things that you love the most, and then going for it, putting it out there, not like doing what you think you're supposed to do or that you should do or enjoy doing, because as you know, we're all different and it's important because we all have different strengths. So there's no point in forcing yourself to do the thing that doesn't really speak to you. Energetically, it doesn't benefit you or really anyone else at the end of the day. So just to be doing the thing that really does speak to you. Merry Christmas, Sabrina. You too. I hope that you had a great one. This is for you. Beauty is the card. And I feel as though this is an indication of you looking in the mirror and saying, like, and seeing the beauty and really believing that to be true. Because I think for you, sometimes, you might say, of course I love myself. But then when it comes down to it, maybe you're not believing yourself. It's like you don't always trust yourself. So I think this is going to be a year of you learning to trust yourself and learning to actually believe in that love and that beauty. Because I can tell you a million times what a beautiful person you are. Everyone else can tell you, but it's important for you to know it and for you to believe that to be true. And so I think this is the year of coming to that place. All right. Stacy on Instagram here. Inner power. So this card for you is really about accessing that part of yourself that is so strong and so determined. And I think that you're sitting there thinking like, I do that every day. And you do. But I think that there's really this sense of maybe over the last while, you're feeling a bit like not wavering, but maybe just feeling tired, like just feeling like it's been a long haul. It's been a long road for you, really always having to be the strong one. So I think this inner power is reminding you that with spirit, literally anything is possible. You know that, and it's been proven to you so many times. Your relationship with your people in spirit is so strong. So I think this inner power is just really lighting a fire within you, something that you want to maybe accomplish for yourself this year that is important for you to do it from start to finish. And it may take some time and energy away from other people, but that it's important for you to go for it. So if you may know what this is already, you may not. If you don't, I feel like over the next couple of weeks, it'll become very obvious to you. So the message is to just go for it. You do have the power and the energy to get it done. Spirit will work in partnership with you to make that happen. All right. So hopefully that is helpful. Good. All right. So hopefully those cards are, something that you can take, and just that insight will be helpful as you go forward. I would love to know your questions for me as it comes to knowing about working with your guides, working with spirit, mediumship, all of that stuff. It's helpful for other people too. So when you ask a question, you might think like, oh, this is like everybody knows. Oftentimes there's someone else that is wishing that someone would ask. So no questions that are not good questions. So let me know. Just scrolling. Right. Let's see. Okay. You're welcome, Sabrina. What's the quickest way to get to your highest and best guidance? Well, it's going to be also, hi, Tammy, how are you? It's going to be different for every person, which I think is, it's a tough one to answer for the general sense. Let's see. I think one of the best ways that probably could apply to most people is to recognize that you don't have to do a huge song and dance in order to get to your highest wisdom and best guidance. That it doesn't have to be a complicated procedure. It can be something as simple as setting the intention that, first of all, you're open to it. Because some people want the highest guidance and they want all of that, but as long as it's what they want to hear, And so I think getting clear that, you want that guidance regardless of, even if it's something that you don't want to hear. And then when you receive it, if you act on it and you trust it, each time you do that, you're going to be building this almost like a endurance or something, or building up some kind of it's trust. You're building trust with yourself. You're building trust with your guides, and trust with spirit, trust with the universe, and you'll be able to receive it even more clearly and even more effectively, every time you do. So if you receive the guidance and then you don't act on it, or you are very questioning it, overthinking it, and not really taking it into account, I feel like we just stay a little bit stuck in this very wishy-washy kind of energy. So it's important to receive it, be open to it, and then be willing to act on it. That's what I would say. Let me know, Tammy, if that's helpful. Stacy says she gets messages that are difficult to communicate to people. How do we deliver what is needed? Right. So do you mean from spirit, Stacy, or do you mean psychically, or both? The answer really is that we always have to give what we're receiving from spirit, because we are their voice and we're taking on that responsibility when we decide that we're going to, deliver messages for them. So we can't edit it, we can't change it, but we can certainly use tact, and we can certainly use compassion and love with the words that we choose to speak, how we communicate it. And I think also it's important to recognize that oftentimes what we're receiving, it's an impression. We're interpreting something. when it's a feeling or something like that. So I just think that it's important to recognize that you have to keep in the back of your mind that sometimes it could also be our own interpretation of what's coming through. So we just have to be aware that we may have some kind of bias, like we're human, so that's possible. So yeah, I think it's just in the way that you express it. Do you mean difficult, like if you're bringing through someone from spirit and it's a very tragic or violent passing or something like that, like having a hard time communicating that? Because I will say that if I see something like that, I'm very, very sensitive about the way that I would express it. I'm not talking about or focusing on the gory details. If I see blood, I'm not talking about that. So it's like you're going to give the information as it comes, with the purpose of making sure that you're being true to what the spirit's giving you, but also that the person knows, okay, I know who you're talking about. So instead of saying that, somebody was brutally murdered and I don't know, going on and on and on about the details about that, I might say, I feel this person's life was taken, and move on from there. So you're not focusing on the horrific details, right? I think it's having compassion for that person. We're not trying to re-traumatize anyone. When it comes from stuff they don't want to hear, it has to be said, and you have to be honest, but you can do it in a way that's very understanding. So I'll just be very honest with the person. I'll be like, you probably don't want to hear this, but this is what's coming through. Not only that, here, this is also what you can do about it. So if it's something coming from spirit or something coming through from, psychically for that person, it's to help them. If your intention, of course, and I know your intention is to help them, to empower them, it's always going to come through, but then there's going to be things that you can offer, a different way they can look at it, a different perspective they could take, some action that they could take. Not necessarily solutions, like things that they can do to going to solve all their problems, but guidance. So we're never just dropping a bomb and then saying oh, well, good luck with that. I did have someone that did a reading for me one time and said she was learning. She wasn't a student of mine, but she was learning. And she said, oh, by the way, there's this huge storm coming into your life. It's terrible. It's so bad. She went on and on talking about it for oh, that's my son. It's okay. You could just, it's fine. No worries. She said it's so much bad stuff coming, and I was like, okay. And then that's it. She was like, yeah, so good luck with that. And I just thought to myself, oh my God, no, this is definitely not, this is what not to do. You're always doing it with the purpose of empowering that person and giving them some help. So that would be my answer for that. I hope that helps you, Stacy. Okay. What do you say and how do you handle if a sitter's expectation is to connect to spirit that they think could help them? What do you mean? If the sitter's expectation is to connect to spirit that they think could help them. I mean, lots of times people do want to talk, if they're having a lot of trouble in their life, stuff going on, they might want to talk to their mom or their dad in spirit, because in life, that's the spirit, that's the person that always was helpful to them. So it makes sense. And you can definitely, we know we can't ever guarantee or force a certain spirit to come forward. That's up to spirit. You can definitely give that a go. And I would say most of the time it's going to happen. But you can, what I would say is yeah, we can go to this spirit person and ask them their take and their opinion. And then I will also say, do you mind if I just tune in as well? My own psychic intuition. Do you mind if I tune into the situation? And I'll give them my 2 cents. And sometimes it'll be exactly the same. We'll be on the same page. And sometimes the spirit person might tell them something different than I would, slightly. And that's fine. I also think too, sometimes we expect the spirit person to have a certain response, because in life, based on their personality and who they are in the physical world, we know, like I know what my mom would say about any given situation. I know what her attitude would probably be. My mom's here in the physical world, but just say she was in spirit. I might be surprised at what she might say in spirit, because yes, she's heard, she still has those qualities, but she's also left behind the human qualities of, the anger or any um, ego elements and things like that. So they have a broader perspective, and they can see things in a different way. So they might have a slightly more well-rounded or gentler response than they might in the physical world. So that is also something to keep in mind. All right. Thanks. Okay, good, Stacey. I'm glad. And Tammy, I hope that helps. And then for this last question about handling the sitter's expectation to connect to spirit that they think could help, I hope that helps. Good. All right. Any other questions I can answer? Those are great questions. Maria was asking, tonight's the cold full moon. Energy on a full moon is amped in super energy as we put our crystals out. Does the full moon bring about super energy in bringing our loved ones forward? I think it does if you want it to. It does if you think it does, My belief is pretty simple about like spirit being around us. I think they're living almost like a parallel to us, like they're living side by side our world. And so yes, it's a little higher vibration, it's a little quicker vibration and all of that, but I don't think it's like, oh, we have to do certain things to like invoke them or to make them come to us. I think they're already with us, and it's just our perception of their world that shifts and changes based on what we do each day, how we're feeling in any given moment, that our intention, that kind of thing. So, same with when people talk about the thinning of the veil, like at Halloween and stuff. I'm not saying it's not true if that's something like that people believe, but like for me, I don't. If it is true, I think it's because we all believe that it's true. So we create an opening. So the power is within you. The power to connect with spirit is within you. So you could do that anytime, any place. It doesn't need to be Halloween. It doesn't need to be a full moon. Certainly, the charged up, powerful energy can help if you're feeling like lethargic and whatever, and then all of a sudden there's this full moon and it energizes you, and then it makes you feel hopeful, and you go connect with spirit, then that's great that it's helpful. But I don't think it's necessary, and I'm not convinced that it makes that big of a difference, because I really think that the only thing that gets in our way for connecting with spirit is our own selves, our own minds, our beliefs. Leanne, oh, thank you so much. I'm glad that the explanations make sense. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you too. Oh, Drea, I'm not sure if I did. I don't know what clear mind clutter to try and connect. Yeah, I'll answer it now. So clearing mind clutter. I think it's hard as a human to completely be free of thought. Like, I think that is hard. So don't feel bad if you find that difficult. I don't know if I clear my mind so much as I discipline myself to put it aside. So in my physical life, I have trouble with this. I was talking about this the other day, how if I have a lot of things on my to-do list, I have a hard time taking a break until they're all done. It'll be nagging at me. I'll be thinking about these things. Even if I'm sitting there taking a break, I'm still thinking about them. So that's not productive. That's not helpful. So when you're working with spirit or trying to connect, it's the same thing. Like, you just have to learn to be able to pause and put those things aside for a little bit. So the disciplining of your mind is more important than I think like clearing it. But you could do like a brain dump, which is like just piece of paper and you're just writing down every single thought that you have for 10 or 15 minutes beforehand, before you go to meditate or before you go to try to connect. I think it's important to also recognize that you can have thoughts. It doesn't mean you have to engage with them, right? So it's possible that I'm doing this with you guys, and then I'm also having a thought from spirit, and then I'm also like having a human thought at the same time. I'm not engaging with spirit. I'm not engaging at this moment with those thoughts about later today. I'm focused on you guys. So anything you can do that disciplines your mind like that. So meditation is a good one because it'll teach you to discipline your mind. A candle gazing meditation where you just focus, close your eyes even, and just see a candle and the flickering flame in your mind. And you're just keeping that image in your mind. Set a timer, do it for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and just allow yourself to focus on that flame as much as possible, not engaging with all of the other things going on around you. I think that could help. Is there any length of time you recommend before readings? Hi, Patty. Well, not as a rule, but I think the length of time that I do recommend waiting if you have had a profound loss. So say you've had a tragic loss of someone that is very close to you and it was unexpected and you're in shock. Like, especially if this is, say, I don't know, you can't compare grief, but I do think it's different when you have a 95-year-old grandmother that passed peacefully and that you got to say everything to, and she, say she was surrounded by all of her loved ones at the time. That's a different scenario than, say, you have, God forbid, you have a child that passes at, 16 from an unexpected accident or something else. Like, it's just a different scenario. And I think that it's hard because the temptation would be to just run and get a reading right away. All you want to know is that your loved one is okay. And you want that validation and confirmation. And I 100% understand it. The problem with it is not that the spirit person can't communicate. They don't generally need time. It's us. Our own shock, our own heavy, heavy grief, our emotions. It can sometimes be a hindrance. Also, our expectation. The stakes are very high. If you had a grandma that passed in that scenario that I was talking about, and you go to see a medium, you would love to hear from her. But if she doesn't happen to come through that particular day, you'd probably be okay. Emotionally, you'd be okay. If you lose a child in that scenario that I was talking about, and then you go for a reading like 5 days later, and that child does not come through, does not step forward, I think that would be absolutely devastating. And I think that it would put the person in a worse off situation than they were before. And that's not something I'm willing to risk. It's not something that I'm willing to do. That's why I tell people to wait before they come, because you need to be in a mentally, somewhat mentally peaceful place with it, so that if for some reason they don't happen to come through, or maybe they come through, but it's a little bit like it's not the words that you want them to say necessarily, or it's not exactly what you're expecting, that you'll be okay. Like, you'll be able to manage that, and it's not going to make you like worse off. And so I think, I had an example of this where I had a client who was in a membership group that I was doing at the time, where we did like monthly group readings. I didn't know that her father had passed, and she showed up to one of the monthly readings, and it's never a guarantee in a group anyway, like that everyone in attendance, especially these ones are bigger groups, that everyone in attendance is going to have someone come through. So she came, and her dad didn't step forward, or I didn't connect with her dad, and it had been he hadn't been passed for very long. I think it was like a very short time. And after that, she had messaged me and said how she was absolutely devastated, and that it was a horrible experience for her because she was waiting for her dad and he didn't come. And I felt horrible. Like, I felt so, so bad about it. And I just knew that it was too soon for her to have that. It was too soon. So, um, tried to comfort her as much as I could. Time went by, and then I saw her just recently, like, so it's probably like a year and a half ago until now, or recently, like over the last couple months, in a group and in person. And her dad was the first one to come through, and he came through brilliantly and with a lot of information, a lot of validation, a lot of evidence. It was exactly what she needed, and she was very grateful and thankful. But it shows the difference that that time made for her. So, I think it's case by case. It depends on the person. But mm, if it's a big one, it's a big loss, a big profound loss, and especially if there's shock, give yourself a bit of time to grieve a bit, process the grief a bit before you go and seek out a reading with that expectation. I think that would be my advice. I'm sure there's other mediums that tell you something different, but that would be my advice. And I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. All right. So thank you guys very much for your questions. Yeah, no problem. You're welcome. Great, Drea. Yeah, give that a try. See if that helps. Thanks for all your questions. I will just tell you about an event I have on New Year's Day, January 1st. So if you're local, I'll be at Love of Every Kind Studio, which is right at Crescent Beach, from 1 until 4 on New Year's Day for a workshop. Oops, I think that's frozen. Oh, I do think I froze. Not on Instagram, but I froze on the others. I'll be there for a workshop, Spirit of New Beginnings. So we're going to look at closing out the energy of 2023, opening up to the energy of 2024. I'll be doing oracle card readings for each person in attendance. So that will be lovely. And it'll be giving you a chance to really have a bit of like ceremony as you kind of enter into the new year. And there's something really palpable that you can feel with the energy of us gathering together to do that. So it's from 1 to 4 p.m. If you're interested, I'll put the link in the comments there for you. Join us. There's still a few spots left. Otherwise, I'll leave you with that. I hope that you had a wonderful Christmas, and looking forward to seeing you and working with you in the new year. Yes, Tammy, definitely come. We'd love to have you there. Yeah, you're totally welcome. My pleasure. So take good care. Enjoy your Boxing Day, whatever you're up to. And we'll talk soon. Thank you so much. Well, it's paused. I don't know. I can't even get out of here.
Sorry for walking.
No, it's fine.
I'm scrambling because me and Allison were gonna do gifts on
Yeah.
Wednesday,
Yeah.
and then today she's like, "Hey, want to do them today?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. She's like, okay, I'm on my way." I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. I haven't wrapped anything."
Oh no.
So I'm like, all over the place.
Okay. Hmm. Oh, it's back on. I'm ending the live stream. Sorry, everyone. It paused and I couldn't get it to stop.